Hello, I'm Susan Guthrie from Learn to Mediate Online, and today I'm going to do a quick tutorial on breakout rooms for you. I get so many questions around this, and I know it's just easier if you can see this. So we're just going to do a quick admission from the waiting room, creating the breakout rooms, getting people into their breakout rooms, and how you, the host, move into and out of the breakout rooms, and also how you can move the participants. So I've started a meeting. You'll see two other participants. Now I'll warn you now, they're both me. I've opened up two other Zoom meetings or two participants so that I could do this demo video without having other people involved. But we're going to click on this. You can see they are logged in. But you'll see plaintiff and defendant are in the waiting room. Now, if they had their names, it would say Ms. Green or Betty Green and Bob Brown. But they're in the waiting room now. So first thing I'm going to do, because I have not yet created the breakout rooms, is I'm going to send them a quick message and say, welcome. I will be admitting you in just a moment. Okay, so that's a nice thing to do just so that they are not left there sitting in what I always call the cone of silence. If you've taken my training, you know I call it that, because in that waiting room, they're just looking at a white screen that tells them, hello, you're currently in the waiting room. So now they have that, and we can go into creating our breakout rooms. Now, I did not pre-create them for this, although you can. As you know, if you've taken the course, you can do that when you are setting up your meeting. But presuming you didn't do that, or even if you did, you would go down to breakout rooms, the icon on your host toolbar. And when you click on that, you're going to see it brings up the create breakout rooms. Now, if you haven't already created them, that's what's going to come up. Now, since we have plaintiff and defendant, two participants, the default is one breakout room. But as I always say, they're free. They come with your account, so you can have up to 50. Let's create at least a plaintiff's room and a defendant's room. So now I have two rooms. And then I always advise make some extras because, again, they're free. They come with your account. It's not like having to rent extra conference rooms. So let's do two more. Now, you are not going to automatically have Zoom assign people to these because then you don't have control over who's getting put in the rooms. So you'll always click manually, and then we're going to create those rooms. So now you can see 4 breakout rooms. They have not started yet, and now we can do a few things. One of the things I do always recommend is renaming them. Makes your life easier, especially when you have multi-party breakout, situations where you have a lot of participants. It can be very nice for you to put notes in here about who's in whichever room. So now we have the plaintiff's room and the defendant's room, but we have a couple more rooms. So let's call one the coffee room. You can have a little fun with this. It's nice. It gives people a little chance to have a little laughter. One of my participants told me they always name one the woodshed, which I thought was kind of cute. And he said makes everybody laugh. So we'll have the plaintiff's room, defendant's room, coffee room, and woodshed. Now, why do we have a coffee room and woodshed? Well, you may want to move the 2 attorneys into a private room so they can talk. You may want to have another room where you can go and talk with one of the attorneys without their client present. You may have different combinations. So you'll see that that's easy to do. Now down here under options are a couple of important things to note. One, move all participants into breakout rooms automatically. So I usually will keep that checked so that once I want people to go into their rooms, they're going to move into them automatically. And then there's this additional one, allow participants to return to the main session at any time. That is not checked by default, and I don't usually check it because I don't want them leaving their breakout room to come back to what we're in right now, the main session. Just in case you're in there or somebody else is in there with you, you don't want them to just pop in suddenly. So I usually do not check that. Now we're going to assign people, and it's as easy as we've got the plaintiff's room. Who are we going to assign there? Well, you click on assign and it brings up the names of all the participants. I'm going to assign the plaintiff, and then for the defendant's room, I'm going to go to assign, and I can assign the defendant. And now we have the plaintiff assigned to the, did I do this correctly? Sorry. Yep. And we have the defendant assigned. There it is. I'm sorry, it wasn't showing. The defendant assigned. I had closed the little hashtag without realizing. I have 2 empty rooms that I can assign people to if I wanted to. And then I'm just going to leave this. I'm not going to open these rooms as yet, right? So because I'm now going to go and greet the party. So we'll close that. We'll go back here and we're going to go into the waiting room. Now you can admit all, but remember that's going to bring them all right into your main conference room. So if you want to keep them separate, I would admit them one at a time. And I'm going to just make sure that we have this. There we go. Sound off. I apologize. So you can see now that that is a picture of me. So the plaintiff is now in and you can do your gracious welcome. Hello, it's nice to meet you. I'm Susan Guthrie, your mediator. Let's check and make sure you have everything that you need. We're going to get started in a moment. I've created a separate breakout room for you. Do you have any questions? Do you have everything, including a copy of the guidelines and ground rules? Okay, so I'm going to now be putting you back in the waiting room just for a moment. And then when I let you back in, you'll go into your breakout room. Is that okay? All right. So we're going to put you, Ms. Plaintiff, back into the waiting room. So she's gone back into the waiting room and now I'm going to admit the defendant. And we're going to go through the same thing. So that one, thankfully, the sound is not going to come on in the middle of this demo. So same thing. Hello, Mr. Brown. It's very nice to meet you. I'm Susan Guthrie, your mediator. The plaintiff is here as well, and we've created breakout rooms for you. I'll be letting you in. Let's check your internet connection. All your little niceties that you would normally do at the beginning when you said hello to people anyway. Now you can go back up and you can say, okay, now I'm going to admit. So now you actually can just put the defendant right into their breakout room. So you're going to open up the breakout rooms and you're going to open all rooms. Now the defendant has been invited to join the breakout room. So he's going to go off and there he goes. Now the defendant has gone into the breakout room. Now we're going to go back and get the plaintiff and we're going to admit her. And here she is. And she has the option of joining her breakout room. So we're going to open that up for her. And now she's going to go off and you can tell her there's a prompt on your screen and you'll be able to go off. Now they are both in, let me just close this. Now you can see they are both in their breakout rooms. The plaintiff, you can tell because the little green dot is there next to them. So that's just a white dot, black circle, white dot, if they're not in there yet, but they've now gone in there. So now we want to get started with the mediation. So how do I, the host, go in and let's say we're going to get started with Ms. Green, the plaintiff? Very easy. First, if you're going to check with her first, you can either broadcast a message to all. Now, understand if I do that, I am going to join Ms. Green now in her breakout room. If I broadcast that, that is going into both the plaintiff and the defendant's rooms. So some people like that and don't mind as long as they keep it innocuous. Some other people do prefer to send a quick text. But in either case, assume that I've gotten an affirmative from the plaintiff and now I'm going to click on join next to plaintiff's room. It's going to ask me if I want to join her. And here I am joining a breakout room. And now, hello, Ms. Green, I'm in your breakout room. And you can see that it's just the two of us. Right here, it shows you the two people that are in here. And we have all of the functionality. So we can have our discussion. We can say whatever we want to say. If I want to share the screen, if you've got the whiteboard, you've got all of the above, you can do that. And then it's time to now go talk to Mr. Brown. So we're going to leave this room. And we're going back into that main session. And now we're going to do the same thing. We can either send Mr. Brown the broadcast all in his room, which will go to both rooms, or we can send Mr. Brown a quick text and say he's ready. So let's assume we sent him the text. He said he's ready, and we're going to click on join for him. And now we're joining his room. So hello, Mr. Brown. We're now in your room. Let's talk, blah, blah, blah. And we would do what we would do there. right? So it's very simple. We're going to leave that room now and go back to the main session, returning to my main session. And now it's just me again, the mediator, back in the main session. But now I think let's just look at this and make this. So this is the plaintiff's attorney and the defendant's attorney. I would never put the plaintiff and the defendant together, but say, for the sake of the example, that this is plaintiff's attorney and defendant's attorney, and I want to put them together so they can talk without their clients. So what I'm going to do is hover over plaintiff's attorney, and you can see it has moved to, and when you click on that, it brings up all the other rooms that are available and tells you how many people are in there. Well, I'm not going to send them to the defendant's room because the defendant and the defense attorney are in there. So let's send them to the coffee room. So you can now see the plaintiff's attorney, in this particular case, is being sent to the coffee room, and now they're there. And then we'll do the same with the defendant's attorney, and we'll send them to the coffee room. And now both of them are in that room. And if I want to join them and go have a chat with them, I can now go to the coffee room. And now I'm in the coffee room with the plaintiff, the defendant. Of course, in this case, it's plaintiff's attorney and defendant's attorney and me. We can have our conversation. And then I can leave the room. Now, they are still in the coffee room. So let's remember that, because now if we wanted them to go back to their clients, I would send them there. So that's one way that, or very simply, I think that shows you just how easy it is to create the rooms, assign the rooms, move people into the rooms, and go join them in their rooms. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on breakout rooms. Please come visit me at learntomediateonline.com to find out more, see more videos. We have other free videos on the website, and you can find out more about our trainings. We have an online mediation training. We also do trainings in social media for professionals, do-it-yourself website builder for professionals, and we have an upcoming webinar for building your own podcast, which is a lot of fun. So I encourage you to come look at that. Also, don't forget to check out the Learn to Mediate Online podcast. I have a lot of guests who are in the industry, as well as breaking news in online mediation and dispute resolution. So be sure to subscribe and listen to that. You can do that on the website at learntomediateonline.com or on all the major podcast outlets. You can search for it. It's iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, you name it, it's out there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, Susan at learntomediateonline.com. Thank you.